My name is Dr. Claire Kinuthia. I'm a practicing obstetrician and gynecologist. Being raised Catholic, I feel was one of the reasons why I became such a caring person and being very focused on people's rights, in respecting other people's rights. I went to Catholic schools for the most part. When I was younger, I didn't have any concept in my mind about what abortion was. The most I'd received in terms of information was a scary video that they showed us in school where it was pretty graphic, and we watched a woman pretty much get tortured during an abortion procedure. And so my understanding at the time was that, of course, it makes sense to have this procedure be illegal because then you're protecting women. And then I came into med school and I started to learn about the procedure and what is actually done, and that it's safe when it's done in the right hands. It's safe under the care of the right medical professionals. And so it was really a moment of clarity for me. One particular scenario that stands out for me is when I trained for my residency at the Kenyan National Hospital, which is our referral hospital here. I was working a night shift at the hospital, and I was in charge of our emergency unit in gynecology. And a young girl, I think she was about 19, came in with her mom, and she pretty much gave me a history of having fallen down a flight of stairs carrying a bucket of water. And she said this happened 3 days before, and she had a lot of stomach pain from that time. She didn't want to tell anyone about it, but then she got to a point where she couldn't ignore it anymore, and that's how she ended up in the hospital. But the way she was presenting, she looked a lot sicker than someone who just fell down a flight of stairs. She's sweating profusely, so she's running a fever. She's looking very pale, she's looking very weak. She could barely sit up in her chair. And so I sort of found a way to get the mom to give us a bit of privacy, and I was able to examine her. She had most of her intestine hanging out of her vagina. It was quite gangrenous or starting to rot, and it quickly became clear that she needed surgery because when you have such a bad bowel obstruction, it's life-threatening. There was a long delay before we were able to take her to theatre, and unfortunately we ended up losing her on the table. And it stood out for me just because of how young she was and the fact that she lied about the history and what happened right to the very end, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure she was scared and she knew that probably her life was at risk, and it still makes me emotional. And so a lot of the younger women will seek care within their networks. They'll ask those around them. They won't really come to the doctor as the first stop just because of fear of being stigmatized, fear of being shamed. So it tends to be that a lot of young women will go to the clinics, the small backstreet clinics, and have the procedure done. Stigma in general in society is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people don't seek appropriate care. The stigma actually propagates the push towards unsafe services.